Good afternoon, everybody. We have an explosive video. I have to go back. I have to tag a friend and follower who brought a pretty interesting video. I was tagged in by Liberal MLA Ellis Ross, and he goes off about UNDRIP Canada and the NDP, and he goes on to further narrate what the Liberals say is the law and the evil of the UN. Well, folks, and Mr. Ellis, not only are you a big fat liar, you're an MLA with the Liberal Party of Canada selling that lie against the allies of World War II. And we're going to get into that in a minute. But he's not the only absolute liar here. All the parties are lying to all Canadians and all First Peoples. And when we talk about British Columbia, Cascadia, it's a completely separate issue to almost all the rest of Canada. Besides Ontario, you will find Caledonia, you will find Six Nations. You will learn their truth too. So what is it that Ellis Ross is all up in arms about and accusing the NDP government? Well, he's somewhat partially correct, but he's in a full-blown absolute lie. Now, UNDRIP, the United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Persons, it went through the UN. All the crown colonials, all those who abuse a set of savage peoples in the world today. Folks, there's no shortage. There's no shortage of tyrannical governments, age of empires, countries from the past who still have a savage peoples under their narrative. So they came up with this UNDRIP, the United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Persons. How did that go in the UN? Well, every country was all down with it, except for one country, the United States of America. And if anyone's questioning what's real and what's not real, Ellis Ross, I'm sorry, you're completely wrong. Not just a little wrong, you're in complete fabrication mode of a liberal lie. USA voted no on UNDRIP, folks. It can never be international law. Why did USA vote no? Linda Thomas Greenfield, Kelly Craft, who's a friend of mine. She's a friend of mine, folks. She's running for governor of Kentucky. She was the UNSC rep for the United States of America, one of 5 of the most powerful countries in the world. Who run the world? Run the entirety of the United Nations. They are the United Nations Security Council. So Linda Thomas Greenfield's in that chair. They voted no to UNDRIP. Why did they vote no to UNDRIP? Because people in the indigenous category can't be subjected to subjugation. They are given in the United States, all First Peoples, self-determination, self-government, a nation within a nation. The UN Declaration on Decolonization 1960 that was not vetoed. It's signed, sealed, and certified. International binding law. Decolonization. It's international law, not UNDRIP. And why is BC doing UNDRIP, folks? Well, 90% of BC is unceded land, meaning all of the Indians, Ellis Ross, there's only one legal definition in Canada for all the First Peoples, which are Inuit, Métis, and ceded and unceded Indian, meaning those under the treaties and those without, those at war with the government of Canada. The legal speak is Indian for everybody. 1876 Indian Act. It is the Arctic Council's sign off. Go read it. Go get a lawyer. You're a legislator and you don't know this. You're a first person and you're telling me you don't know this. You're called an Uncle Tom. An Uncle Tom of all Indians in Canada. Again, folks, this isn't my words. It's the words from the Liberal Party of Canada, forever and a day, and all their provincial counterparts. There is no legal international law called UNDRIP. USA, a United Nations Permanent Security Council member, voted no, and it can never be international law. So whose law is it? Out of the UN garbage can, the Crown Colonial, led predominantly by the Liberal Party of Canada, the official opposition Conservative Party of Canada, who at 1/3 of the time held the reins of power, the Federal Crown of Canada. Those two parties have taken turns destroying all Indians as legally defined in the Constitution and subsequent acts. You will find Liberal and Conservative alike addressing all Indians as savages, and they legally ratified it in 1876, never dismembered, never appealed, never amended. It's still alive today. Ask any lawyer. Unless they're all liars too. Somebody's lying. Liberals, you're lying. Ellis Ross, you're a liberal liar. You just lied on live video. Your understanding of the laws of Canada are completely flawed. BC's David Eby, Premier of BC, another piece of shit liar just like you. You talk about 250 plus nations in British Columbia. Only the overlap of Treaty 8, 6, and 7 are treaty lands inside British Columbia. And it's mostly northern BC on the eastern side. Everybody else is unceded, at a war with your party, with the Conservative Party, with the NDP, the Greens, the Bloc, because they make up Parliament, the Government of Canada. They've been at war with you for every day that Canada's been a country and all the days before. That is the legal term, unceded. No treaties. What are treaties? And war. 90% of BC remains untreated, unceded, folks. They never gave up. That's why the RCMP beat the shit out of the Wet'suwet'en every chance they get. They're the municipal, the provincial, the federal, and military police, all one deal. And if people want to know what kind of police system that is, that's the same Crown Colonial police system as was South Africa during apartheid, as was Nazi Germany SS. One size fits all, one jurisdiction right across Canada. They're any form of police they want to be at any time, at the beck and call of the Crown, because that's what they're sworn to. And they're sworn to kill those people, destroy them in BC. UNDRIP, British Columbia, NDP, another radical set of liars. We're going to enforce UNDRIP, which is not international law. They're going to make it BC's law. UNDRIP Canada. And they're going to say we're going to let a hand-picked set of 50 tribes for all of the multiple 250 and the 21 that are dead, extinct, murdered by all our governments for the last 150 years in BC and the 150 years before that. The same people that are alive in what is now the Federation of Russia, former Soviet Union, they're still alive and well today in the United States of America. Scratch your head. Ellis Ross explained that. David Eby explained that. David Eby is going to take 50 of the 250 still left alive, and he's going to pick which ones get to determine how things are going to go in BC over lands, over the government intruding on people's lands without signing any treaties, without doing nothing. Another genocide. Don't kid yourself. Another radical left, liberal and NDP genocide. And Ellis Ross says, well, no, we want the Indian Act so that none have a say. Only me and my Indian agents have a say. We'll decide for all those people, those savage Indians, as he defines his own people. Him, the narcissistic, sick, twisted fuck. That's right, Ellis. You are a sellout to your own people, and you wear that suit and tie, and you go out there and you lie. You and David Eby are genocidal, homicidal, sick crown colonial, narcissistic psychopaths. Only way to describe it. All into yourself, the divinity of your crown, and you lie. You lie on videos, you lie to the world, you lie to the allies of World War II who think you're garbage. But I love your video because that is a recorded treasure now, and I'm going to take that treasure, I'm going to hand that over to the P5. More evidence of just how evil this fucking country really is. And I'm sorry, people, to swear. I'm sorry to get angry. But these are two sick fucking individuals way over in the left hemisphere, way over in British Columbia. Crown colonial jewel, never fixed. The worst of the worst. We look at Six Nations. That's bad. The Grand River and everything that happened there is bad. But you want to see massive scale alive and well today, go to British Columbia. 90%. And I want people to understand, and you too, Ellis Ross, you talk about, oh, we've got to go back, Aboriginal, Indigenous, in your words. Those are not the words, it's Indian. 0.2% of the land in Canada made available to the savage Indians. Your people, buddy. Your people. And you want to go into that system. That's the system you're proud of? You're a piece of shit, sellout cocksucker. And you should be gone. You should be gone from this world. People like you should be gone. You're a traitor to your own people. The worst kind of Uncle Tom fuck there ever was. And people need to wake up. The United States of America has the nation within the nation. The American Indian, who is the same Indian as all the First Peoples in Canada and all those in Russia too, through the Arctic all the way through Siberia. All the same people. What happened in Canada did not happen in Russia, and it certainly didn't happen in USA. Were there atrocities? Sure, but there were Indian wars. There hasn't been an Indian war in Canada, not in the interior. That's why there's treaties, folks. The last American Indian War ended in 1920. Canada has followed the lead of the P5 allies post-World War II when they took over as the power of the world and created the UN. What we're told about the UN is a lie. 6 principal organs, 6. One of those, the United Nations Security Council, runs all international peace and security and deals absolutely and binding authority of human rights and all violations of. They keep the peace. They keep the security. They defend the weak. not the General Assembly. Largely 75% are destroying the weak, enslaving the citizenry that is there. And no worse example in the entire world, living atrocity today, is the First Peoples of Canada. You can argue Australia, New Zealand, okay. Couple other crown colonial jewels left in the hands of the French and the British, the Spanish, the Portuguese. There's a few out there. I'm not going to lie, there is. But the reality, this country, Canada, in its shining beacon in the UN bullshit, with lying liberals, conservatives, NDP, and the list goes on and on. All those elected to office play the game, fill their pockets at literally the genocide of peoples here in Canada. And we're letting it go on as subjects, bound to a crown, heads down, just keep whipping the slaves, the rest of us. We pay for their atrocities, we pay for their crimes, and we look the other way because we're just slaves. That's how they've legally defined all of us. Subjects and savage Indians. There's no other term. There's no other Aboriginal, Indigenous, 1982 Constitution, clearly overridden by the provisions before, inside, and after in the Canadian Constitutional Acts. It's all a scam, a lie. Handicrafts by Liberals, Conservatives, NDP is now in there like a dirty shirt. They're going to make their own UNDRIP and really fuck over the savage Indian, because UNDRIP has no authority from British Columbia over the Indian Act of Canada, 1876. It's still there. You can call people whatever you want, but how does the legal authority of the Constitution narrate them? Savage Indian. Every party. NDP, David Eby, he's just a big fat fucking liar. Making it a little better for the government to genocide the people? Don't think so. I have much work to do. I'm coming to BC. I'm going to come and go see Ellis Ross. Maybe try David Eby. But I think these chicken shit cocksuckers will run like turtles in Turtle Island, though, hide in their shells. They won't speak to me because the truth paints them in a much, much different light. And I love the video because I want to show that liberal video to the United States of America. I'm going for holiday New York just to try it out this weekend, but I am going to the United Nations, and I'm going to make sure Linda Thomas Greenfield and Kelly Knight Craft get that video about the UN and the lies by an MLA from the Liberal Party of Canada. It's got to go. It's sick, it's perverted, it's genocidal, homicidal, psychopaths. Indians on their own people. Canadian politicians on all the people, subject or savage, and they think it's normal. They're brought into it. It's normal. It's good to lie. It's good to cheat. It's good to steal. Because I am the divine crown, left or right. Call it divine socialism, divine capitalism. Canadians and First Peoples, you need to wake up to what I'm saying when I say divine socialism, divine capitalism. Because it's much worse than a communist reality. It's much worse than the radical game monopoly. It's much worse. You need to know that the game is rigged. You need to know that your country is a sick, disgusting, perverted reality of what we're supposed to be post the UN 1945 by the glorious allies of World War II, where most of our ancestors gone today fought and gave their lives for real freedom. And you need to know what that freedom is, because the way we're brought up into it and the way our politicians blatantly lie and propagate is nowhere near what the allies are or ever going to be. And we need to hash that out. That's my video. Folks, share it. Get it out there. People need to see it. It's a horrendous crime a crime of humanity. And it's never going to change as long as we keep going flip-flop, left, right, left, right. Our lives are going to get worse. We're going to be participants in genocide forever and a day. I don't want to be a slave. I don't want my children slaved worse than I was brought into the system. I don't want that for them. I definitely don't want to participate in any more massive, wrongful harm against the First Peoples here in Canada. An easy settlement can be done legally and lawfully by a minority prime minister in government. Anyone could do it tomorrow, literally within 30 days, power to all the people. Settle all the claims, self-government, self-determination. And you know what, Canadian subjects? You get it too. A mass release of land that would lift a lot of the problems we see around Canada today, specifically Vancouver, Toronto, the GTA, Montreal, and much of that below the 49th parallel out east. It's all sick. It's all wrong. It's disgusting. We're allowing a divine class of politicians we elect to become autocrats and destroy us and our children. That is not lawful in the United Nations. That system is not to be. Divine socialism and divine capitalism have no place in the UN. By and administered for the United Nations Security Council. Those who are in charge of international peace and security, and those who have the power of human rights and enforcement of such. They've got the might, they're in the right, and they've written and crafted articulate, binding world laws all Canadians should know, because your government keeps it all from you, all of it. They propagate a lie. In the sixth and lowest organ of the UN, the General Assembly in Canada says, oh, we pulled this out of the garbage can. Allies said no. We're going to go with the Axis powers of World War II because we are one in reality and in design. We were to be dismembered and redesigned, but it never happened for Canada. It didn't happen for Australia or New Zealand either. But Canada is the worst. The worst of the worst. That's my video. Share, share, share. It's credible. It's real. It's verifiable. Nobody can take this video down. No one can even come along and myth bust it, because it's the myth bust. That's how confident I am. And I already know, because I'm in the best academic circles in the entire world. It's unbelievable, but it's true. And you're all going to be seeing that in a few short weeks and all this year, over and over and over again. How does a guy like me get invited to the New York Bar Association? Explain it to me. I don't see any of our other Canadian politicians. Is that going to be truth or fiction, or what's the deal? Canada's fiction. Canada is fiction. It's evil. And it's up to us to change it. That's what our party's going to do. Thanks. God bless. Have a great day. Bye now.